Hi, True Crime Grapevine fans. It's me, Patti Lee, here without air conditioning, still in our 23rd episode. It is July 26th, I believe, as I'm taping this, and we've got lots of cases because it's been so hot. And because my air conditioning isn't fixed yet. Our unofficial sponsor this week is my neighbor John and his wife Heather, who have provided us with some extra window units. I'm in a room kind of far away. I'm a little hot. It's nicer today, so we are inside. Oh my God. Now it's turned into a different kind of video. Oh, that feels great. Okay, so I'm still drinking coolers this week. The theme is get cooler. So that's what we're pairing with every case, because I have also found that, probably some of you know this, but I wasn't really aware, that when it's hot outside and you drink alcohol and it's humid and hot and you're sweating, apparently you get drunk faster and you get a wicked hangover, which I don't need. So we're drinking coolers to stay cool. We aren't doing it at midnight, at least, so that's a positive. I love the Smirnoff Ice Red, White, and Berry. It's one of my favorites. It's July themed. We've got our little July themed lights in the True Crime Grapevine wreath, so we're all set. We have lots to do. This will be recorded in separate cases, and so if you want to just do one case, you can just watch that case. I am trying to get my editor to combine them all if you really like a long, deep dive. And we're off Podbean right now, so you can only catch us on YouTube. So hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell if you want to be notified for when I upload, because I sometimes go live. Let's raise a grass or a glass, whatever. I don't know if I mentioned, I'm the dyslexic detective. You will notice dyslexia is a language processing disorder, which is a difference in your neurology. It can inhibit some language processing, but it also allows you to think outside the box, which is what all of us armchair detectives and real detectives, I think, like to do. So I like to give you the facts. I like to give you logical theories that I will provide you with my critical reasoning, and I'll let you know when I'm just making it up, because sometimes, I just have, I consider all the possibilities. Sometimes I get things, faster than the average bear. Sometimes I make errors in judgment, and that may be the case when we talk about one of our cases this week. So what are we talking about this week? We have like 5 or 6 new cases. Now, new cases I always put in the beginning, and we don't always come back to them. Some of them, by the time I read about them, I tell you about what everybody's talking about, right? Again, if you're new to the True Crime Grapevine, I'm going to give you what everybody else has been talking about on all the true crime channels, YouTube, TV, cable, newspapers, all the things that are in the zeitgeist of our culture right now. So this is current case updates, and we have some big cases that we follow all the way through, like the crime, who did it, into finding a suspect, and there's an arrest, and then we follow it through trial. Those are our big cases. We have about 5 of those going on right now. And once it gets into litigation, there's not an update every week. Some are just new cases that, like we have a few this week, that are kind of resolved immediately, like the person is caught doing it, and there might be litigation later, but I tell you about it because everybody's talking about it, and that's what the true crime, that's the grapevine part. That's me. It's like you sit down next to me once a week, and I'm just going to tell you what everybody else is saying. I'm not vouching for it. I try my best, and what I think I'll tell you about when it's my opinion, but a lot of it is alleged. But I'll let you know what's hot, what's happening, and who said it. Those are my main squeezes, my main sources. And I'll let you know where if you want to go for like the deep dive. I always try to tell you, just like any good gossip in high school, I'm going to say well, did you hear? And then I'll tell you, well, where'd you hear? Well, so-and-so said, and then I'll tell you how much I trust so-and-so. Sounds fair? All right, so if you don't have hours and hours upon hours to watch all the true crime, this is a way to just get caught up while you're doing something for a couple hours, you know, working on some craft or cleaning or cooking dinner or driving around in your car, going to and from work, or hauling the children around or dogs or whatever you might be doing. So this week, let's get into it, is going to be seriously 1, 2, I'm going to count for you, 3, 4, 5 new cases. So we have the new cases. This is just my little intro. I'm just going to give you a quick case overview. We have an update on the Christina Powell missing persons case. We have a new case. I did it now by like types of cases. We have 1, you're gonna love this one, 2, 3, 4 shooting related cases. And usually I would do a shot during those, but since it's hot outside and we're cooling down, it's just the cooler. But I would pair a shot with those because I not just because they're shootings, but oh my gosh, you need some medicinal help after that. We have a new case. My little grouping here of kids killing kids. Yes, that is a type of crime we talk a lot about. We have a new one of that and some updates on 2 other ones. Yes, there's too much child-on-child crime. We have an update on the Caitlin Armstrong case that is getting going now regarding the defense speaking. We have, these are not getting into our big cases, so the Vallow Daybell case, we have some news updates on. Barry Morphew, these are my big court cases. We've got Barry, Laundries, the Petito case, the civil case that's going on, a Murdaugh update, and an Orrin and Orson West case. We haven't talked about that in a while. There's a little update, very small update on that relating to court. And then we have some final thoughts. So strap in. We've got a lot to get through. Grab your drink of choice. If you'd like to pair a cooler, I really highly can recommend the Smirnoff Ice. It's cool. It does keep you cool. It's not too alcoholic, so you don't get too wasted when, you know, it's hot outside. And it's very sweet and blueberry color. Also, non-official sponsor, Yetis. That's right, Yetis. They keep your drink cool when there's no air conditioning and it's really hot outside. All right, so that's it for the introduction. I will come back with the cases, our new cases, in just 1 second. Stick around. Hi, true crime fans. Okay, we have our first case file that we're going to unpack here, which is new cases. So what's been happening? A lot. Our first new case is about a honeymoon homicide. Hashtag honeymoon homicide. Hashtag apparently Blue Lagoon murder. So if you're of a certain age, you might remember, oh, and speaking of blue, right, goes along with our drink color. It is Blue Lagoon color. Blue Lagoon was shot at this island called Turtle Island in Fiji. Beautiful. It is 500 acres, so it's not too big. And it hosts typically about 14 newlywed couples. There's a luxury resort located there. And a 36-year-old newlywed, Christy Chen, and her new husband, his name is Bradley Robert Dawson, Brad. They seem to have had like a whirlwind described by their friends relationship. Now, we're not exactly sure how long the whirlwind lasted, but maybe within the year. Christy had lived in Memphis, Tennessee as a first she lived in China, then they lived in Memphis, Tennessee, then she lived in Denver for some of her growing up period. And she actually was a pastry chef in Denver and had her own bakery. And I read a review. It sounds fabulous. And then she wanted to go back to school. And she went to back to Memphis, Tennessee. And I don't know where her family was located at that time, if they were also back in Memphis or if some people had stayed in Memphis. So it's unclear where her parents are located and how much family she had in Memphis, but she was there since, I don't know if it was 2019, but she went and did a program in pharmacy. And she graduated in 2021, I believe, and got a great, she got a grant to work with how people in lower socioeconomic statuses were able to receive and use their medications. And she got a grant to study that further. And she worked for Kroger in a pharmacy down there. So sometime in the past year, she met Bradley. We're not sure how. Her friends said a lot of them didn't meet him until the wedding in February. And it was the date of their wedding. It was in February. Let me see if I have the exact date. Not funny thing was, but the interesting thing to someone wondering what happens is, we don't know how long the whirlwind was, but the wedding planners thanked everybody who put this together in just 26 days. So when they got married in February of this year, they put it together in 26 days. Now, so they got married in a hurry, but they didn't go on their honeymoon until just now. And I am not sure if that was planned or why there was a delay, but the friend that was interviewed by the Daily Beast and the Toronto Sun also repeated this, was that they her friend was Rena Schomburg, that they were excited. She was very excited to get married and have babies, but I'm sorry, a separate friend, a person who wanted to remain anonymous, told them that while it was a whirlwind romance, they didn't see any red flags, but they didn't meet him until like at the wedding reception. And there were they said it was a 20-person intimate affair at a historic inn. So that's the situation. You have these two people, a 36-year-old ex-pastry chef turned pharmacist student, like star student, with a big heart, and a groom who worked for a nonprofit. He was the IT specialist for this nonprofit in Memphis called Village Youth, and now he is suspended from there. So here's what happened, and he is 38. So 2 years apart, getting older, kind of the right age to, professionals, if you are older and it sounded like she wanted to have kids, you date, get married faster, time is marching on. Anyways, so they have this great honeymoon planned in this Blue Lagoon Island, Turtle Island in the Fijis. So 2 days into their trip, something happens. What we know is it was July, let's see, I think it was July 6th. I don't know if that's when she was found or when they think the event happened. But 2 days into this trip, there seemed to have been a fight. The third morning, the butler came in, and it looked like I think there was a do not disturb sign on their resort hut, area. Okay, so they're newlyweds, people are going to leave them alone, they don't have to come to breakfast. But by the afternoon, the butler came in to just clean up, and when he came in, he noticed that he saw blood on the bathroom floor, and then saw that unfortunately Christy was bludgeoned. It looked like, I mean, she was bleeding heavily, and they called police and rescue service, and she could not be revived. So she was found unalived, and the husband was nowhere to be found. Well, 2 days later, he is identified as being this man who was on this island, the larger Fiji, the main Fiji island, and I'm not going to say the name right, so I'm not even going to try to say it, but it's Fiji's main island. And he had taken a kayak, apparently like 2, 3 in the morning, and just went from Turtle Island over to the bigger island and hit the beach and sort of stayed on the beach and became a beach bum for 2 days, drinking Mai Tais. I don't know how he was able, I don't know if he had cash on him, but he was found inebriated. He had cuts all over his hands and bruises, but he said, oh, the coral reefs, and people would like, oh, kayaking, coral reefs, okay. But then because there had been this unaliving on the other island and they were looking for him, he was found, he was arrested, they wanted his DNA, and he said no. So doesn't want his DNA. You're going to hear some barking. That's just Sadie Mae seeing somebody walk around, and we're just going to have to deal with it, because otherwise we're never going to get through all this. So he doesn't want his DNA found. And then he at first is like, doesn't really have an explanation, doesn't talk. Now, after a couple days and being processed, and he did plead, not guilty, which that is what everybody pleads. And his lawyer says, oh no, it's not murder. So he's charged with murder 1, and he's charged in Fiji. And one of the articles that I read, Brad Garrett, who is a contributor, I believe, on MSNBC, as well as he's an ex-FBI agent, or retired FBI, he said, reiterated, look, this happened on a foreign country. He's there, and he's going to be there a while. This isn't like they don't extradite, because the crime actually was committed in Fiji. So he is in a jail on the main Fiji island. He is being held on a murder 1 count. And I am not sure, and neither is anybody else so far really, how their system works, because there's different levels of homicide. Here, like manslaughter, like if you're very angry and it's not premeditated, it's less than if you planned it out. So right now, I'm not sure what Fiji does, and I haven't heard. So we know that he's in jail. He's going to, there's going to be more on the 27th, so tomorrow. And we will then, I'll have more to tell you then the next week. So right now, what he has come out to say through his lawyer is there was a disagreement. So, and when he was on the beach, he told somebody, yeah, my wife and I, we had a fight, But of course, he didn't mention that he bludgeoned her to death. So, we're going to find out more about that case. And it's going to be very interesting to find out if this is like a Dirty John type of case. And Heather and Juicy Scoop brought that up, and I think she's right. It's weird that they just met, whirlwind marriage. I mean, I'm sure he's got insurance out on her, right? He's a guy who just worked for a nonprofit, and she was a pharmacist. So we'll find out more about that. So our second case is... let's have a drink, shall we? Our second new case is a father of 6 missing. He is from Layton, Utah. Now, okay, see, maybe the coolers won't be less drinking because they taste so sweet and they're less alcohol, so you drink them faster, and it's hot. So this could be a horrible error in judgment. We will see. Like how many of these cases start, right? So we have Bo Riddle. Bo Riddle is a hard-working dad. He's got 6 kids. He seems to do trucking work. He was last spotted in Arizona at a Pilot truck stop. And if you know Pilot truck stops along like the Turnpike and other various sundry roads and routes around the U.S., they're huge. Like, they're the ones that you can go in, you can get something, there's usually a restaurant attached to it, and a huge just Pilot area with anything you want to buy. And there's usually, like, you can take a shower there. I mean, it's got everything, right? And I hope it's got surveillance. This is going to come into it. So what we know is that on Friday, July 22nd, he was last seen at night at a pilot, and he had made a call earlier to his employer saying that he felt like he was having a nervous breakdown, and I don't know if that was hyperbole, because he was really hot, and he was like, basically, it sounded like maybe he was having heat stroke. It was too hot. The truck was having trouble. He was having trouble. It sounded like there was an issue going on. And his boss was trying to get him a hotel to stay in and somebody else to come to the truck stop and pick up the trailer and truck to continue taking it all the way to Idaho. So he's in Littlefield, Littlefield, Arizona, and it's on the Arizona-Utah border. He's 49, like I said. He's a regular guy, doesn't have a history, as far as we know, of any problems. If you're aware of the heat problem, right? If you're in the Southwest, it is like horrific heat, right? So he could have been dehydrated to the point where he was feeling like he was losing his mind, right? But he's at this pilot. I don't know if anybody else spoke to him, right? Like, saw him in duress. What we do know is that his trailer was found abandoned the following day, and the truck was found Sunday, hidden behind some storage containers near the truck stop. Now, we're going to hear this in a number of the cases today. Authorities don't suspect foul play. I think that's the authorities' version of the person in trouble always pleading not guilty even when they're caught red-handed. You just say that at first. That's just what they say. Because if a man is in duress, he's not feeling well, he's called into his boss, he's at this truck stop, and then suddenly the trailer's found by itself abandoned and his truck is hidden close by but behind storage units. And where is he? So the Layton Police Department, he's from Layton, Utah. They have him listed as a missing person. And it sounds to me like, seriously, it sounds like he was having heat stroke and maybe someone helped him. So they're, unfortunately, at truck stops, it's a world where people are transient. I mean, literally, they're transporting things. Some people are literally just they're moving through. But it's also where a lot of other marginalized society activities take place. And perhaps somebody noticed somebody who looked like he was having a hard time and they took advantage of it. That's what I think happened. What do you think? Oh, so if you have any ideas about these cases, I would love to hear your thoughts and theories. Put them in the comments below. I have noticed, I'm not really technologically proficient, but when I did my last live, I checked, there's some comments that looked like in German, some naughty talk. Please ignore all that if you see some comments that are inappropriate. I will try to flag them and delete them. I have just been so hot and a little delirious myself, but thank goodness nobody is here to take advantage of me except, my children asking for money. And I've only been sitting in 80-degree heat in my house before we got these other units. Now we're in the high 70s, but we were in the mid 80s. And apparently if you're in mid 80 temperatures for long periods of time, it makes you have a low-grade headache. You get sick to your stomach. You don't feel very well. You get tired and not disoriented because I wasn't that hot. But if you were at out in the, desert, the Southwest, and even if you're at a gas station, like if you're sitting in your truck for a second, that is probably very easy to get heat stroke. And so I feel for, and he's a father of 6. So his wife, Kim Riddle, is just losing her mind. So if you have any ideas, also, I believe they will be checking surveillance. This just happened Friday, so I think we'll hear more about that. All right, our third new missing persons case comes out of Spring Branch, Texas. Okay, so on this, I think this also happened. Let's see what happened specifically. A lot of things happened on Friday and Saturday this week. This woman, Shonda, no, I'm not going to say her name, DeMarbro, Shauna DeMarbro. She's 45. She vanished from her RV home last Tuesday, so it's been 1 week. Immediately, so her husband, Chris Antos, it's her husband, but they have different names, but that's okay because, people keep their own name, so that's fine. But I don't know if it's maybe common law, and not that it matters, right? Because that shouldn't matter. That doesn't matter. I just always wonder when there's like differences in names, why? Because I'm a weirdo. Because I wonder about everything, even things that aren't important, which is how you get those crazy boards. Okay, so she vanished. She was reported. She was last seen. Now it says she was last seen on social media, so I don't know if she took a social media post Tuesday that morning, but it said she was seen in a white T-shirt with pink shorts and black flip-flops. And the picture shown, she looked fine, but so her husband, he's pleading. Now, if you followed any other cases with us, there was one from Colorado by a certain man who pleaded, please come home. So, a lot of us in the true crime community, when we hear somebody pleading for their wife to please return, we take that with a grain of salt. Especially, so I was referring to the Barry Morphew case and Suzanne Morphew, who is still missing from Colorado, who went missing during the high point of COVID and left without anything. Well, guess what? Funnily enough, Shauna also left everything at home. Her keys, her car, her dog, her purse, her ID, her money, her phone. Weird, right? At least Suzanne's phone was thrown off the side of a nearby road. I mean, let's give someone some effort for at least trying to hide that and throw a bike over. Nope. Shauna is just missing. Her husband returned at lunchtime Tuesday and just found like she was. Now listen, I say this. Watch, we find out there's some like crazy person that just came into the house and took her. That could happen. That is there's plenty of stories about I Survived and other horrible tales on other true crime stories about people who just come in and snatch somebody. So I'm not sure on how secure her RV was, but if somebody was watching and they saw that the husband left every day, maybe that's what happened. But so he is pleading for her to please return. They haven't heard anything. She left everything. Texas EquiSearch and Project Absentis are helping. And he says there's going to be a public search soon. And her family has stuck by him, and he said that's what's getting him through. I got this information mostly from the local station KENS 5, which is a CBS, I believe, affiliate. And the people that you can call to, it's the Connell County Sheriff's, is 830-620-3400 if you have any information on seeing Shayna. We all suspect the husband at first. That is a normal thing. Maybe not. Maybe not. Let's hope not, right? Although, well, these cases, it's all horrible. All right. I hate to say this. Moving on to another new case. So, if you follow the True Crime Grapevine, you might know I live near the Ohio-Michigan border. So anything having to do with the Great Lakes area, is close to me. So we've got a couple Midwestern Great Lakes area stories. So this man, Larry David Davis, who's 48 years old, he didn't have an easy time of it. He lived near Chillicothe area. He was experienced addiction. He had an on and off again girlfriend, but she was always a friend of, they dated for on and off for 9 years, but she was supportive of him no matter what, and was in contact with him, as was his brother Jeffrey. About every other day they would hear from him. So he was around town. They, if you know anything about addiction and maybe mental illness, people like to be homeless by choice, almost like they feel their skin feels a certain way, they need to be outside walking. So Larry David Davis went missing March 4th of this year. Now, the police saw him that afternoon because they got a call of a man that was down by the floodgates. And so they actually have, they said their last contact with Davis was a report of a suspicious person near the city's flood wall at 4 p.m. that day. So he was hanging around, and he was seen alive the day he went missing. Now, the reporting previously said that he had stated before he disappeared, he texted a name to a person close to him. So I'm assuming Jeffrey or this Brittany, his girlfriend, on and off, in case anything happened to him. And then he disappeared 4 days later. So the police have this character who they know, and I'm just saying character because, if you're in law enforcement or you know anybody in law enforcement, they'll call people frequent flyers. So he was having a rough time. He was known to law enforcement around the area. He was, though, a man of habits. He was checking in with his family and this close girlfriend slash friend. So when they didn't hear from him after a couple days, they reported him missing. So now Brittany Clayton is the girlfriend, and she's been giving information like, the police told me this again, but this is an individual telling another person about what the police said, so it's not a direct line. But she was saying, look, there was a garage that he was last seen going into, and now the police did later on corroborate that. So she seems to be on the up and up, because what she said, it has been corroborated later. But apparently they searched that, he was seen on surveillance, and his bike, it said, was found at a property. And I'm assuming the property was where this garage was. So they apparently searched the garage right then and didn't find anything. But just recently, Brittany said that the people there were cleaning out the garage and moving, and the police went back in and looked, and they found a tote with remains in it. Now, at first, they could not corroborate that it was his remains, but now it has been positively identified through the coroner's office. So, if you know anything about what happened with Larry David Davis in Chillicothe, the police department would like to have some information at 740-773-1191. He said a name to somebody. They knew what garage he went into. I'm assuming that we're going to have some information about what this is all about. But, just because someone is addicted doesn't mean that they're not loved. This Brittany loved and cared for him, and he was important to his brother Jeffrey, and he's a human being that we should care about. And nobody should just be seen walking into a garage and then disappear off the face of the earth. So I'm pretty sure that the Chillicothe police will solve this one. It sounds like maybe they have some leads, but something that was being spoken about on the interwebs. So there you go. And another thing from the last 2 weeks about that has been all over, if you're on Twitter, there was a horrible case in Indianapolis where a family of three was missing. A dad and his three kids, and really young kids. The dad himself is only 27. Kyle Mormon and Kyrana, and Kyle Jr., a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 5-year-old. They were last seen July 6th around 11 o'clock, and Kyle said he was going to go fishing, and he was going to his favorite spot in Indianapolis. Now, it was 11 o'clock at night. It seems weird, but his family said, hey, but he went night fishing all the time. And I don't doubt that he went night fishing, but it's weird that you would go night fishing with a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old. Maybe a 5-year-old, but I don't know his habits. And it said he had custody of the kids. It mentions nothing of the mother or mothers, just because there's 2 last names. I don't know, and the ages are a little bit different if there's 2 mothers involved. So the area that he goes night fishing in, his phone pinged there. And so he went missing on the 6th. His family, I guess, he does this. But when they hadn't heard from them by the 9th, they contacted police. And everybody's got the Find My iPhone. And they said the last ping of his iPhone was like near this place that he fished. And they wanted the police to go look there. They went starting looking there. So like on the 10th and the 11th and the 12th, they're looking around and they find a baby bottle there and some clothes. And they're like, this belongs to our family. And the police are like, okay, well, we're looking, we're searching, we're verifying the ping. Because they have to go through like Verizon, or whatever. They can't just take anyways, unfortunately, the families, they did start looking in that area. The ping was verified. They found a body of a man, which was then later identified as Kyle. And then in the pond/lake, they found the black Saab and 3 children in it. So, what happened? Now, if you're from this area of Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, you might have heard about the Morency, Michigan brothers. There were 3 brothers, small, like this age, 5, 3 and 2. Very small. And now their parents had a contentious custody battle, and the dad took off on Thanksgiving and went somewhere, and the children have never been found. And he returned saying, I don't know what his story is, but I don't know what happened, and we're waiting. Nobody knows. 3 little kids, it's hard to take care of yourself. I have no idea why the mom or moms were uninvolved. We would hope that he didn't become overwhelmed and pull a Susan Smith. Hi, True Crime Grapevine fans. It's me, Patti Lee. Okay, so we're up to our second case load here on week 23. I popped a new cooler. We're drinking coolers because it's still hot here, even though neighbor John and Heather have provided us with some wonderful air conditioning units. Thank you. It takes a community. All right, so case 2 is an update on the Christina Powell case. So we have two actually updates on missing people. When I did my live, I did a case about a girl named Georgia Lynn Hayes from Ohio. She was a 20-year-old TikTok sort of, she had 10,000 followers, and she was missing. Well, guess what? She was found in Columbus. She needs to stay in contact with her mom a little bit more. There's not a lot to the story except she was found. So, and a lot of missing people, that's the unfortunate thing. They go missing a few days and they don't tell their family, but maybe nothing happened. And then we have something like the Christina Powell update. So our other update about a missing person from that I spoke about on my live, Christina Powell, Chrissy, 39 years old. She's the woman from San Antonio, Texas, that was seen on a Ring camera leaving her house July 5th. She was late to work. She had called into work to say she was going to be late. She left her house in a hurry. She left her Apple Watch, her phone, she needed it was reported some medication that she needed. Now, we're not sure. Was that insulin, maybe? I think it was something like that. I don't think it could be thyroid. I think it's something that she needed, like insulin, or something that if she didn't have it, it would affect her life. That's my guess. I don't know. And I'll tell you why I say that. So, she's been missing since July 5th. She said she was going to be to work. It was 7 miles away, and she never got there. Her 12-year-old was left at home. Now, Chrissy has a 3-year-old with an ex, and it is not clear if the 3-year-old was at home with the 12-year-old or if the 3-year-old was with their father. She was found just this past week. So there is a parking lot in San Antonio near this highway, and the attendant, there was a security guard who said, hey, this car has been parked here for over a week, or for at least a week, I guess. He said about a week. So, and this was Saturday. So about a week, and he noticed a woman sitting there, and when he walked closer, he noticed a foul smell, and we all, if you're into true crime, you know about decomp, and so the police discovered her. She was in the front seat, but the passenger side, and it was her car, the 2020 Rogue, in the passenger seat, deceased. They took possession of the body. They're going to do an autopsy. They don't know anything, but they said it didn't look like there was any trauma to the body. And her purse was found right with her, so that was convenient, right? So the car was there for a week. Now, let's do some mathing, friends. July 5th, and then the car was there for a week, and it was found July 22nd. So, I wrote this down. So it was found on, the 23rd it was called in. That is 16 to 18 days unaccounted for. 16 to 18 days. Where was she for 16 to 18 days? Now, I know what could get me. Now, she had started this job a week before, which is interesting because if you remember the Cassie Carly case, she had just started a job a week before. She had to do the pickup with Marcus and never went anywhere after that. We don't know where her 3-year-old was. What we do know from her mother is that she said, yeah, she fought with her ex. They were on and off again. They fought like cats and dogs, and there was a text message, I guess, that was retrieved that showed them arguing on the Sunday, July 3rd, before she went missing. But her mom was like, yeah, they had that kind of relationship, passionate, which I wish people would understand that fighting isn't always, passionate isn't always like hot. Sometimes it's indicative of there's trouble. But we're not victim shaming here. I mean, she wasn't living with him. But I know what would get me to run out of the door quickly is if somebody was watching my child, because apparently the mom didn't think the ex could be in trouble because she said, here, let me tell you the quote. Oh, that's not there. She said that, I'm trying to find the quote, that it wasn't unusual for the couple to fight, and she didn't think he could have done it. Oh, he works from his home, and he stays to himself. Now, true crime fans, how many times have we heard about the really nice guy, the quiet neighbor who keeps to themselves? I don't know, but if he's works from home, do you think maybe when she started this new job, maybe he was watching the 3-year-old? And do you think maybe what could get her running out of the house and forgetting everything and telling work she was going to be a little bit late? Maybe an emergency with her child? Maybe a call from, like, oh my God, you got to get here, your baby. And she was like, oh my God, okay. That would make you run out of the house with only your purse. You might forget everything because you were getting ready, trying to read, and someone's like, oh my God, this happened. You better get here. Okay, I'm on my way. That is my theory. That is allegedly. That is just my speculation. I don't know anything about this. I know that she had an ex. I know that they fought. I know that she's missing. I know that she was missing for a number of days. Would he be aware that she had a medical condition that she needed medicine for? What is that medical condition? Did she have type 1 diabetes? Did she need to have insulin? And would she go into a diabetic coma if she didn't have insulin? And then, wow, if you're in a diabetic coma and you just left in your car and then it's 104 degrees each day, what do you think happens then? Did you really kill the person, or did you just drop them off? See, that's what I'm saying. Who knew she needed the medicine? Who could get her running out of the house when she was late for a job when she'd only had it for a week? What makes a mom run? And then who would know that if she didn't have that medicine? Now, my big suppositions are, I don't know what her medical condition was. Was it needing insulin? Could she have a diabetic coma? Would somebody who wouldn't otherwise be willing to kill somebody do it that way? I don't know. My questions are, where was the 3-year-old? We don't know. The 12-year-old was at home. In fact, he answered the door when the lady from work came to check on her because she never showed up. What was her medical condition? We don't know. Again, if it was insulin, I have questions. And was there a custody fight? This falls under a category that we've seen so many times on the true crime grapevine, right? Cassie Carly is an example of this. The man from California, Tyler Adams, whose girlfriend / baby mama was found unalived in her car in Mexico, and then there was a baby girl involved. There are many examples where there's a custody fight. Of the case in Colorado where the man unalived the girlfriend with the baby, and he was going to take off with his new chickie, the chickie who helped provide him with an alibi. I mean, and of course, we have our August case coming up in the Piketon County massacres, all about what? Getting a 3-year-old. People, be careful who you have babies with, and with what happened with Roe v. Wade, it's going to be a lot tougher, right? Be careful who you make babies with. And if you have problems with that person, only exchange children in public venues. Don't be tricked to coming to the house. Take a witness / buddy with you whenever you're around that other person. Everybody thinks they can handle the crazy ex. Please be safe out there. I always say in the true crime grapevine, what can we learn? So, yeah. We will find out more. Again, the authorities, guess what they're saying? You want to make a guess? Go ahead and guess. I'll give you a minute. Yeah, you're right. They're saying they don't suspect foul play. Right, because everybody's just missing for, almost 2 weeks, and then is in the passenger seat of their car. Right. That's not suspicious at all. Again, but we're going to give the San Antonio police a break because, as we say on the True Crime Grapevine, as I now say, it seems like the defense is always plead not guilty even if you were caught red-handed, and the Prosecution stateside is always, the very first thing is, it doesn't look suspicious. It doesn't look like there was foul play. That's just the go-to first thing until they figure out what's going on. But true crime fans, I think we know. So, hey, after that first long case of all those ones, this was a short one. So we'll hear more, I am sure, about Chrissy Powell and what happened. We really want to know about her medical condition, the 3-year-old. Oh, and was she wearing the same clothes? Was she wearing the same clothes when she was found in the car as when they left? Because they made a big deal about what she was wearing in that Ring camera. These are things we want to know. All right. Bye. Hi, true crime fans. We are still in week 23 and we are to our third case. These are a couple of cases I've put all together to catch up. They all involve shooting. No, I don't have a shot here with me. I usually pair shootings with a shot of whiskey because it seems tough. But we do have our Smirnoff Ice cooler because the air is still not fixed, and I need to be a little bit cooler. All right, case one. So I'm not sure what makes something a mass shooting versus just a weird shooting. There was this family camping in Iowa. They were at, and I am not going to say the name correctly, the Maquasita Caves State Park campground. It's about 180 miles east of Des Moines, Iowa. And everybody, you know, like a campground, a state campground, families, right? So the Schmidt family is there. And there's Tyler Schmidt and Sarah Schmidt, a mom and dad, both 42. Lula is 6, was 6, and Arlo, 9. So at about right before 6:30 in the morning this was just recently, it was Friday morning, their shots ring out. First there's a scream and then there's shots. I'm assuming the scream might have been from the mother seeing somebody enter the tent. What we know is that both parents were unalived and Lula was unalived. Arlo escaped somehow and is fine and is with family. So some bystander actually reported seeing him. He's got very distinctive, beautiful, curly strawberry hair, and they saw him in these cute pajamas standing with the officers, and he had like one blue tennis shoe on. The camp, immediately people were calling the police. The police come. The camp is evacuated and then searched. And they find in a wooded area one person who was, you know, when you go to a state camping ground, I don't know if you're aware, but you have to sign in to get your spot. Remember the DeSoto camp things with the laundries? How we knew that they had been there even though they didn't tell anybody because there had been a record of them reserving the spot. So when you camp at a state ground, you usually reserve a spot. So they evacuated the area and then they looked for missing people. And they found that there was a missing person, a 23-year-old from Nebraska by the name of Anthony Sherwin. Anthony's picture, he's got those eyes. We might call them crazy eyes. Those like where you can see the whole eye and the white around it, which has been indicative of some not great mental health. Yeah. What's with 23-year-olds? I mean, we had the 4th of July shooter, also with kind of crazy eyes, right? We've got a lot of 17 to 23-year-old men who seem to be losing their shit with weapons. I don't know, but it's like it's like an epidemic. It's strange. Yeah, and they don't think he knew the family. and there's no known interaction. Like, so how did he target them? He was found to be missing from the evacuation. Then when they went looking, they found him in the wooded area, and he had unalived himself, which I always find unfortunate, because I think it's important to analyze why this happens. What trigger? How were they radicalized? Why was this a thing? Are they ill? What were the signs? We want to analyze it. Why? So that we can prevent this, or we can at least notice when there's symptoms around us and stop it. So the Arlo has family, and he was not hurt, so that is good. It's just really weird. Okay, so another weird shooting incident. Now, this is not a mass shooting because there was no one shot. It's weird. At the same field, I believe, that President Kennedy flew into when he was assassinated in Dallas, the Love Airport in Dallas, a woman was reported to go in. Now, this is Dallas, Texas. Apparently in Texas, I think right now in Ohio, and I don't think in Michigan, but you don't have to have, like, you can have a carry and conceal. Now, I don't think in the Midwest here you can have it in the airport. But in Texas, hey, come as you are. So I guess there's no, like, magtometers, mags. If you've been listening to the January 6th testimony, you might know what mags are. I didn't know that acronym before, but a magtometer, which is the metal detectors you walk through. No, so you're allowed to have guns, and I don't understand that at all, because don't airplanes have rules? All of that seems weird. Like, I don't want to fly with anybody who's allowed to just carry and conceal. But anyway, she went into the bathroom. She changed her clothes, which is, I don't understand this aspect of it, and then walked out of the bathroom and shot the ceiling until a cop shot her. Now, in the leg, which I appreciate, because let's find out what in the hell was going on. It appears as if, because she didn't shoot people, she shot at the ceiling. Was she making a political statement about anybody can get a gun in here and this is wrong? I mean, I don't know. It's sexist. Good luck, honey. I don't think you're changing they don't care. That is not something that's changed. I mean, I think the people of Texas care about their safety and want more reasonable, like, laws about who should be, carrying around deadly weapons, but it is a cultural thing. So anyways, we'll find out more about that. That happened this weekend. Another shooting related incident in this is case 3C, is the Parkland shooter, Nicholas Cruz. So he admitted, to the acts at Parkland, at the Marjorie Douglas Stone High School. He was on film. This is the penalty phase, life or the death penalty. And it has been really heart-wrenching for everybody involved. Personally, it's easy to say you don't believe in the death penalty when it isn't your relative involved. Excuse me. I don't know. It just seems illogical and antithetical to your moral, like, if you're against killing, that the answer is killing. I know it costs money to keep people in prison. Personally, I think that we could do with a little less frills, and everybody should be kept separate and not allowed out except to, I think it should be a lot tougher. And everybody says, well, that's inhumane treatment. Well, death seems more inhumane. So, I come down on a weird side of what prisons should look like. But regardless, I think when he did this, I don't know if he was 18 yet. Again, we have young men losing their minds doing horrific acts, and I just wonder, guns cost a lot of money. Who is giving these children enough cash to buy this is one thing. I don't, there's, like, it's very weird. Okay, the Uvalde report came out a little bit about what, we've seen more analysis as to the police response, or shall I say, non-response. And I think there's more to come out about this. It's odd. You had a whole police department, they practice for this stuff. The kids practice for this stuff. They knew what they had to do. There was procedure, and none of them followed it. And there was a police chief directing them not to do anything in way that's against all the policy. It's very odd, especially for Texas. I mean, yeah, the border police came in and took care of business, but that could have been done an hour before. What happened? There is something very wrong. And how did that kid who was living on his grandparents' couch, he'd been thrown out of his house by his mom, how did he get the money? Again, how did he obtain those weapons? He had been working part-time at Wendy's. Is that enough to save up for 2 automatic weapons? These are thousands of dollars. I mean, I have an okay lifestyle, and I can't just buy anything for I cannot spend over $100 without, checking with savings. That's just not prudent. But certainly just spending thousands of dollars here and there, where did he get the money? His grandfather said he was a felon, so he couldn't have guns in the house, and he wouldn't have allowed him. So wait, how? What? Something is wrong with this picture. I don't know what yet, but the report, the analysis of what happened, obviously. So far, the one police chief guy, the school police chief, I believe, who had been elected to city council, is now off city council. I believe other people are being looked at for being fired. Oh, I'm assuming we'll hear more about that. I don't know. There seems to be a lot of triggering, and I hate to use the word triggering when talking about shooting, but I mean, seems like somehow there's been some radicalization of members of our society, and it would be interesting to find out why and how, so that we could stop this. Again, that shooter is no longer with us, so we won't be able to find out from him. So maybe the 4th of July, Robert Cremio III, might be able to help us out. And the Buffalo shooter. And I didn't even write down his name, and I don't really care to say his name. What do you think about that? Now, we know how he got the guns, because his family was rich, and I believe they just, gave him money to buy them. Yeah, that jackhole. Sorry. I mean, he's 18, and he seems to, have a white supremacist ideology, and we can only imagine how, he grew up during a certain political milieu that would have encouraged that, and online, unfortunately. So, and it does seem race, bias, hatred, hate crime related. I think he said as much. Hey, don't worry though, he's not guilty. Again, him saying he's not guilty is like finding that lady in the passenger seat of her car when hasn't been seen for 2 weeks, and just her car suddenly shows up and they say it isn't suspect. Okay, both of it's bullshit. All right, sorry about that. It's YouTube. I believe I'm allowed to speak colorfully. It's still hot in here, and now I'm getting worked up. So, yeah. That's what we have about those cases for this week. Too many shooting-related cases, right? And some are very odd. If you have a 17 to 23-year-old kid, don't just let them have automatic weapons, please. Please, for the rest of us. I'm just saying. Or what? I don't know. Shouldn't they be doing dishes and helping out at home? I don't know. Are they even at home? Maybe that's the problem. I don't know. Our society is untethered from each other, and we're having problems, people. I don't know what the answer is. So we'll probably have more stories that fit into that category, unfortunately. All right. Hi, true crime fans. It's me, Patti Lee, and we are on to our fourth caseload here on week or episode 23 of the True Crime Grapevine. I have some, this category is depressing, but it's being talked about, and I'm committed to telling you the facts as well as I know them. And if you are, if you have any sensitivity towards children, hurting children, you might want to skip this case. So this is our kids killing kids caseload, which I wish that wasn't even a category. And since there's multiple cases that fit into this category, I'm going to lump them in all together. Shall we drink? I think we shall. This calls for it. Okay, I'm going to need to pour more. Yeah, this is not great, people. Brooke McLaughlin. Brooke McLaughlin was, to all description, a beautiful soul. A 14-year-old girl in Maine. She was a middle school girl. She had just finished 7th grade. She was at home Monday, July 18th. And I believe her mom was working. And her mom returned to find her. They lived in, well, the mom still lives. They live in Mount Vernon. Her mom returned home and found Brooke unalived. It was reported, and the police came and investigated, and the Pine, it sounds like a Hallmark movie, but a bad one. The Pine Tree State's office chief medical examiner did confirm that it was a homicide. So we have this 14-year-old baby girl. Well, the suspect is from Wayne, Maine, and he is a 15-year-old. You might be getting flashbacks to Aiden, Fucci, and Tristan. And I can't remember Tristan's last name, sorry. A beautiful young lady who was friends, and similar ages and sort of a similar story. So the 15-year-old has made his first court appearance Monday, July 26th. He reportedly, so he has not been charged as of yet as an adult and is being detained at the Long Creek Youth Facility in South Portland, Maine. Love Portland, Maine. Do not love this story. The special assistant to the Maine's Attorney General told Law and Crime that we filed charges today, and a bind over motion was made, and so he will await trial in the Walcherville District Court. So there aren't a lot of details about what happened, except it was this 15-year-old who unalived a 14-year-old. I can only assume he probably knew her from school, unless it was just a random act of violence, and that's probably even more disturbing. I don't know. Following this, we have sort of an associated update. So the Lily Peters case, which was a 10-year-old girl in Chippewa Falls, Minnesota. I believe it was Minnesota, right? Minnesota and Wisconsin are so close. A man was very upset. If you remember the Lily Peters story, she was riding her bike home and was found in an area that was a bike path from like her aunt's house to her parents' house. She had to go through this like little bike path area and then over across the river. It was eventually concluded that Lily's cousin, an older male cousin, fouled her. I don't know if he stalked her, knocked her off her bike, hit her on her head, strangled her, and proceeded to have some relations with her corpse. Yeah, the child is disturbed. Well, somebody else was disturbed by these acts, and the family that they felt allowed it to happen, and the person is not related to anybody, but made internet claims of wanting to annihilate the family where Lily was staying before the incident occurred, and actually traveled to Chippewa Falls. Now, he was found, detained, he was drunk, he said he had an alcohol problem. It is not clear if he had weapons on him. He is in big trouble, though. Don't make statements, even if it's a horrific situation and you can't stand the thought of what happened. Do not make threats against people online. Here at the True Crime Grapevine, we believe, as hard as it is, to let justice take its course through the court system. Vigilantism isn't what we promote. So this man, his name, Badelich. Yeah. Listen, Mr. Badelich, I get where you're irritated that the family, didn't see that they had a monster in their midst, I guess. I don't know. If you've met any teenager, it's hard to tell probably who's a monster and who's not, because they can all be monstrous. I don't know. We don't know what the symptoms of this young gentleman, being politely, were. It's unfortunate. It's really horrible. Anyways, so, yes. And in the Aiden Fucci case, also, I believe they are trying to get that case. It's going to also be, the court case is going to be delayed. So that's our update on the kids killing kids. And let's hope to get rid of this type of crime in the future. All right. All right, true crime fans. It's me, Patti Lee. We're up to, on our 23rd episode here, July, I think it's the 26th, case 4. All right, so this one, I even did a live about this. This is the Caitlin Armstrong case. And we, in the past, I have looked at all the possibilities, and I really felt like maybe Caitlin didn't do it, right? I mean, was the gun, there was no ballistic match. Well, now we have a ballistic match. So the gun left in the house that Colin bought Caitlin was a ballistic match for the bullets used and found at the scene that were used to hurt Anna Mariah Wilson, otherwise known as Mo. So that's for sure. Now, I was still thinking, so there's 2 people involved, and if you look at all the affidavits and all the evidence, both individuals were at Mariah, where she was staying, at that residence at about the same time. Both Colin and Caitlin were seen, around that home at the exact same time. Now, I always thought it was weird. Who would know that Mo was alone? Who could get Mo in the bathroom by themselves? Like, even if you had a gun and you went up into someone's house, and we don't know, it doesn't say if Mo was dressed or not. Like, was Mo taking a shower after going swimming? So that would make her more vulnerable, right, to anybody. That would explain it could be a woman then. But if Caitlin just found her in the home, how'd she get her in the bathroom and push her in there? And then, and then supposedly Caitlin just got this gun in January, and the only person that said she was going to, unalive Mo was an anonymous source, which can't be used in court. So I was like, okay, so Colin bought the gun. Colin was also there. Colin had a relationship with this woman. Mo was sort of like pressuring Colin, like, are we on or are we off? What's going on? And Mo's girlfriend did say, no, they had an on and off thing. It wasn't just that one time in October. So was Colin feeling pressured by Mo? Colin was with Mo all day. He would know that nobody else was in the apartment, right? He would know which apartment Mo was in. Was it the front of the house or was it over the garage? Because it was the over the garage apartment. Anyways, I mean, I always thought maybe Caitlin was chasing Colin's phone, and that's why she was in the area, because his ping, you know, like if you do find my iPhone, the little blue circle, and it sometimes is there a little bit after you've been someplace, right? So I thought, oh, that could explain it. Okay, so here's the deal. Caitlin has a lawyer. The lawyer, there was a, you know, the initial arraignment, and Caitlin said not guilty. Her lawyer had a short press conference. He took no questions. He brought up, though, that the prosecution, he said, like, we have you know, whatever defense attorneys say, we have lots more information. We don't believe this. My client's innocent. But then he said Mo had another ex-boyfriend who had made threats against her, and that Colin and Caitlin's home, the night of the murders, had been vandalized. Now, I have not seen a report that they did, like, was this vandalization reported, and what was this vandalization? Or was this just what they said later? That's like a news story. But here's the problem. The gun matched the one in the house. The gun matched the one in the house. So it's Caitlin or Colin, because the gun was in their house. So for Caitlin's attorney to bring up the SOD or some other dude theory, all of a sudden, people, my theory sounds like a knucklehead theory. Hashtag knucklehead. Shout out to the docket. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I had a whole big argument on Twitter about, you know, let's think of all the possibilities. And now, disappointed in you, Caitlin. That wasn't the defense. That some other dude does not explain the ballistics. If that ballistic match is as it looks now, so there was uploaded additional information from the prosecution. The some other dude, it's not some other dude did not put that gun in your house. Now, there was also a thing of, so she applied to be indigent, but apparently she owns a home. And I did map the home, and everybody was like, oh, the home was closer to the apartment. Okay, so here's the deal. No, the address of her home that she owns and the home she was staying with at Colin are both, like, they are within 5 minutes of each other, and both of those homes are about 15 minutes away from where Mo was staying. So they were saying, oh, she went to that, I mean, and I assume police are looking at that home, that they were saying she went to that home and maybe that's where there's more evidence, because she, you know, you would have splatter on you and other forensic evidence. So she could have gone there and undressed, and I mean, if that's what happened, and that would explain. Colin said, again, this is all Colin said, but if it really wasn't Caitlin, she should be blaming Colin, and instead her defense is blaming some other dude. So Caitlin, girl, that is not logically nor physiologically, like, that doesn't match. It's not the story to go with. Disappointed in you, Caitlin. Disappointed. I look forward to hearing more from her defense attorney, but if they're going with some other dude, I'm going with the looks like you did it. and if you've been following my channel, you know I really was pulling for, maybe it was a reverse Gone Girl. Maybe Colin. I mean, yeah, Colin, no offense, Colin, you still look like a douche. You do. To me, personally. And why are you dating two girls at one time? Yeah, that's how people get killed. You're effing around with people's feelings. Not that you're at fault, but, you know, not legally at fault, for sure. Morally, ethically. Colin, quit effing around. Could you just not, Colin? Oh, God, and I looked at his pictures. I don't know. And everybody, I don't know if he has BDE. If you know, you know. But no. I don't see. Both girls looked way cuter and way better than he, like, I don't know how he pulled that off and had them at each other. Whatever, dude. So that's where we are with that case. So with our big cases, I'm also gonna hit quickly in this segment the Vallow Daybell case. I talked a little bit about this when I did my live, but it was hot, and I don't think I was cogent so much, maybe. I don't know. So the consumptive testing was the big deal, and there's lots of channels. Nate Eaton talked to Joe Scott Morgan of Body Bags. Love that podcast. Please go listen to it. You will love it. Nate Eaton, great East Idaho news reporter. I will just say, and Hidden True Crime also discussed this with Lori Hollis. The DNA that they're looking at, the dark spots, which we think are blood or matter, on the pickaxe and a shovel, the matter that was found underneath JJ's fingernails, the ridge pattern that was found on the tape, all of these things. This is not the only testing, and there's hairs. We don't know if there's a bulb where they can get full DNA or if it's just the hair, which they can get the mitochondrial, which is from the mom's side DNA only. What we know is that for things this small, consumptive testing is testing that will consume the item that they're testing. And it is the evidence of the state. The state gathered this evidence, and the state will test this evidence. This is a formality, people. And they made this statement once before, but then Lori was incompetent, and now that everything's, you know, we're all going along and everybody's on the same page with this is going to happen, hopefully. So that's the deal. John Breyer needs a death penalty qualified co-counsel. In my opinion, that is just my speculation, because while Scott Reich of Crime Talk might think that John Breyer is holding his own, he ain't. He doesn't have the experience. You can't get experience except by doing it, and he doesn't have this experience because he's in the midst of doing it, and, you know, trying to disqualify the prosecutors and spending all that mess of time doing that, which is ridiculous. And now he's trying to stop testing by the state. It's the state's evidence, no sugar pie. What you need to be doing is getting your expert ready to observe. That's what you need to be fighting for. Maybe you should talk to Lori's attorneys. Work with them. Watch what they do, John. Because your old boy, good old boy from, you know, Colorado, yeah, I'm sure it flies with some people, but you look like a hick. And the deal is, they're going to test that DNA. It's going to be consumed. Your best bet is to get in there and to ensure that you have a qualified observer. That's the deal. That's my free advice to you, John. Free. You know, like most things, it might be exactly worth what you paid for it. So that's where we are. don't buy into the drama of, oh my God, are they going to test it? Yeah, they're going to test it. It's their evidence. This is just a formality. And to make a big deal out of it, like John Pryor he is the judge, what was it, Onito? The OJ's judge. Like, just to grandstand and get your attention is not, like, yeah, John Pryor, I get it. You feel like you're the BMOC. You're the big man on campus. But why don't you focus on your client? You need a good expert. Get your expert and get in there and make sure that you have access to observe the testing. That should be, anyways, according to me, your focus, John. Just saying. All right, so that's where we stand with the Daybell case. You know, this DNA is not their only, this consumptive testing isn't their own testing. This is just the stuff that will actually be consumed. So this isn't the whole ball game either. So it was just interesting, as Lori Hollis pointed out, that we got to see that. So my main sources for this were the Nate Eaton interview with Joe Scott Morgan, sorry, dyslexic detective, and Hidden True Crime with Lori Hollis. Go watch that. Very interesting. And we'll hear more about that, right? We're going to hear, as Emily D. Baker would say, the motions in lemonade or in limine, meaning the pretrial motions. Those are all, we're all getting that now because we're getting geared up to go. This is going to happen in January and it'll be here before you know it. All right. And should we talk? Oh, now I have a bunch of cases next. Hi, true crime fans. It's me, Patti Lee. Still no air conditioning. It is, and it's still July 26th, and it's Tuesday. I have some final thoughts on a case. So, I had to pour another Smirnoff. That's right. That's what we're pairing everything with. A cooler. Why? I need to be cooler. In many ways, my sister would tell you. Hi, Holly Dolly. That's right. I'm not very cool. Like temperature-wise, or also I'm not very cool, like social construction sort of wise. See, because I use words like social construction in everyday parlance. Who am I? Who says parlance? Lord. Okay. Wrong tube. The one thing I wanted to say to you was about the Harmony Montgomery case. We don't know anymore yet. I'm hoping they're testing everything they found underneath that apartment complex. What I wanted to say was this. Weeks ago, we talked about that New Hampshire, which was the state in which Harmony resided with her father and stepmother, they came back with a report which was instigated by what happened with Harmony. And their answer was that, you know, they need more people in the city. Like, no offense. They had 2 or 3 kids who died prior to this. In fact, I believe it was Judy Ron, who had a social worker who worked in New Hampshire at the time. I mean, their answer was like, oh, we have too many cases, and they just cleared a bunch of cases by closing them instead of doing anything. I mean, allegedly, this is my speculation, this is my recollection of what was said in the, but do look up the Judy Ron on YouTube. He did a caseworker about the Harmony Montgomery case a month or 2 back. I think it was in late May. And it was really instructive as to our system is screwed up. And we don't value children, especially children in the system. And we just say the system is overwhelmed as if there's not real babies involved in the system being missed. And so, but at least, now New Hampshire has screwed up twice now. Basically, they're a dumping ground. In my opinion, Allegedly. That's just my opinion. I wouldn't want, I don't know. I wouldn't want any kid in the system, quite frankly. Because it seems like our system is overwhelmed and nobody's really watching, which means people can continue to do horrific things to them. And it seems like sometimes and even Pretty Lies and Alibis, we're following a case in which a girl was placed into the social system and her foster family unalived her. That was in South Carolina. I think it was in Greenville. So this isn't, like, it either way doesn't work. I don't know our society seems to be a bit broken. And the smallest, most vulnerable are paying. So Massachusetts was the state that Harmony came from, and the state in which her father was granted custody of her, and then he, toot sweet, headed over the state line to New Hampshire. I like a lot of things about Massachusetts, but they're not taking responsibility for their systemic issues, which means they're not going to fix their systemic issues. They came up with a report on Harmony that said, they gave too much precedence to the father instead of looking at the child's needs. And, bullshit. Respectively. Bullshit. Sorry, but if anybody was paying attention, we all know that it wasn't that you paid too much attention to the father's needs. You didn't give a shit about the father. The judge was retiring. Nobody did the home visit. Nobody looked at Adam Montgomery's background, which included homicide, violence. Even the person who watched him interact with his daughter wrote that he didn't have appropriate expectations for her age. And she was disabled. So she was a child who had special needs. They took her out of a foster care that cared for her. Her brother was in an adopted family that wanted to adopt her. Okay, but the judge was retiring. And no home visit. No background check. No. Massachusetts. You didn't care too much about the father and put his needs first instead of the child's. You put your own needs in front of Harmony's. Yeah. The judge, and in case you don't know, true crime fans, guess what? Judges have immunity. So, what do they care? Maybe they shouldn't have immunity when their decision leads to, and they don't follow procedure, leads to a death. Maybe they shouldn't be immune. I understand immunity for other things, but this was lack of following basic procedure. No home visit, no background check. Goodbye. Goodbye, Harmony. Just go off with your dad. I gotta clear my docket because I'm retiring. Well, fuck you, judge. And fuck whoever wrote the report trying to blame it on, we cared too much about the parents. Oh, our focus was off. No, you're lying and you're hiding. So while New Hampshire doesn't do shit, live free and die, is that what their thing is? I forget what New Hampshire's motto is. But at least they're honest. Oh, we're screw-ups. And we're probably going to continue to screw up. But at least, the system screwed up. Well, it is. And, dare I say, it's refreshing. They don't fix it. So that would seem like it's irritating, right? But hey, that's way better than a system who tries to play it like, oh, we cared about reuniting families and the dad's needs and we made a mistake. No. You had a judge and a system who failed to follow basic procedure. Basic. Home visits. Background checks. Don't give somebody to somebody who's a criminal who has a violent history. That ain't hard. Just, could somebody in Massachusetts. Just admit. The judge was retiring. The judge can't be sued. Sucks to be everybody else. That's the deal. Maybe some honesty. You can't fix what you don't admit. God, it's irritating. How can we save these children when the system is so busy hiding its own mistakes and lying? Implicitly or explicitly. All right, so that's it for our regularly scheduled cases of regular people. Now, I do have one last case. It's about celebrities. So we're going to switch to some bubbly. Again, I'm 2 and not even a half Smirnoff coolers in. Am I cooler? I feel cooler. Am I cooler? That ain't happening. That ship sailed long ago. I am not cooler. But yeah, we're going to get to our celebrity cases, and then that'll be it for week 23. Hi, true crime fans. It's me, Patti Lee. Still no air conditioning. Still week 23. I've got, as you can see, a bunch of big case court updates for you in this little section. We're pairing everything today with the Smirnoff Ice. I'm going to have to crack open a new one. The red, white, and berry limited edition. They come out with them every summer around 4th of July. It's sweet. It's cool. It's not too alcoholic because I found in the heat I was getting ill. And this episode, besides brought to you by Smirnoff Ice, is also brought to you by my neighbors. God, am I saying that right? Even though it's not very alcoholic, I've had 2.5. My neighbors, Heather and John, who have provided us with emergency loan of air units. So I'm able to tape and not feel ill. So that was good. So our big court cases. We start with Bear Morphew. So it's good to be white and male in Colorado. It certainly is. So Barry has somehow, I don't know, when you vote in somebody else's name, talk to the black female from Texas. You get in big fat trouble when you don't vote right. In some states, if you're maybe a minority in dual respects. But apparently in Colorado, oops. Sorry, my missing wife. Oh, I didn't know that I wasn't responsible for her vote. I guess you missed civics class from every grade. Like, what is it? 4th grade, 6th grade, 8th grade, and 12th grade. And then in college, you have to take a government class. Did you miss all of those? Barry, were you out hunting? Barry, instead of going to school? Because I know that I get to vote one time. Me, just me. I don't get to vote, especially for someone who's missing. Are you shitting me, Barry? You're full of bullshit. And your looks are going, by the way. You look like hell. That's just my opinion. Just my speculation. You know, The Telltale Heart read The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. Bear. I'm sure. Seems like you might be experiencing those symptoms. And Bear doesn't have any place to live. Oh, he's got it rough since people don't like him because he was, accused of some, hurting his missing wife. And, yeah. Sorry, Bear. So you don't have a permanent residence, although you were renting 2 homes in Salida, weren't you? You were staying in the one, what happened to your girlfriend? The one that looked like your ex-wife? The one that you got right away after she disappeared? You had her by July the next summer? No? Shanta, I believe. Where's Shonda? Why aren't you living there? What about the house you rented in Monarch Park? What's going on, Bear? Okay, so your permanent address is Iris Eaton, or Eaton's. Sorry, Iris. Iris, if I had a problem in Colorado, I'd want you as my defense attorney because you go to the mattresses. I give you that. You've got passion. Misplaced as I feel it might be. Anyway, so Bear doesn't have a permanent address. I think it's still... I'm not sure how the court is going to do probation when they don't know where Bear is living. But, yeah, they made a deal. So he has pled to a 5th-degree felony of voting and, voting in someone else's name. He did it in such a way that he's claiming that... this is like all his other excuses. Sorry, Bear, but I don't believe you about your wife, and I don't believe you about this. It's kind of lame. Oh, you signed for her, voted for her, and you were her witness, but you didn't sign her name. So technically, you didn't really forge it, sort of. Oops. I guess that gives us some space for believability on your part. Whatever. And don't worry though, folks, it's a 5th-degree felony, so he shouldn't have access to guns, and he can't vote, so he won't be voting in the midterms, thank God. But hey, you better watch for a ballot coming from somebody else, because, he might be tempted. Just my speculation, in my opinion. I'm just saying he's got a history. Bear, yeah, he wants to hunt, though. And the Judge Boyce, very nicely was like, oh, well, yeah, people like to hunt. So he said he could bow hunt or muzzle hunt. Bear's got lots of exceptions to the rules, doesn't he? One would think, so his felony is a deferred felony. He pled guilty, but it's deferred, meaning, and then if he does probation and doesn't get in any trouble, which I'm not sure how we're going to tell if he's doing what he's supposed to be doing because he doesn't have a permanent address. But as long as he checks in, I guess as long as he gets himself to his probation officer, yeah, he will have that felony wiped off his record. Otherwise, it'd be 3 years in jail. White men problems. I am sorry. Everybody can say that's not a big deal, but everybody else in the U.S. goes to jail for that shit. Seriously. For years, for not voting right, for trying to vote twice, or voting in the wrong name, or the wrong place. But not Bear. Oh no, and by the way, well, he can have at least a muzzle gun and a bow if he's just got to alert his probation officer. Why the hell should he get to, why? I don't understand. It seems unfair to all the rest of us why Barry can do whatever the heck he wants, and then he won't have anything on his record. So if the gods are fair at all, I'm pretty much hoping that we will have some that he'll F up his probation. It's just unbelievable. I don't know if it's just, I don't know. Whatever. And we still don't know where Suzanne is. Her body still hasn't been found. Lauren Scharf did a update with her friend who she always talked about what was going on in the Barry Morphew trial, who is now moving and living in Missouri. And so Lauren did a life update with her and then updated us about Barry. Lauren Scharf, great. Recommend her highly. But she mentioned, they have no idea how often people are going out there and looking for Suzanne. They said they had an idea of where she might be. Are they looking for her? I don't know. Let's find hashtag find Suzanne, right? Nobody else seems to care about us online. Seems like everybody else has just moved right on. It's except for her family in Indiana. Sorry. I don't want the Mormon family, Andy and her sister. I don't want to. They do care. But I just mean, Barry and the daughters seem to have just, gone on with their lives. Unbelievable. She raised those children. Just unbelievable. All right. We have a quick update in a big court case on the laundry Petito side. Last we had spoken, we had the laundries had submitted a brief responding to the judge's order that the case would go forward, and each of the laundries had said, like, we don't agree with this because of this. We don't agree with, like, there were 8 points. Well, the Petitos came back, and they had it short and sweet, because I like the Petito lawyers. They don't mess around. They speak through their filings, and they speak concisely. And they basically just said, all that, every point that you made, that what, no, negatory, Ghost Rider, negatory. All right, so, sorry. Am I talk a lot about duty of care now, because I looked up that law. If you invite somebody into your house, you have a duty of care. Like if they're working in your house even, it's a higher duty of care than if they're just, well, you have a higher duty of care if you invite somebody into your home, even to work. But they invited Gabby Petito into their home to live as a family member. And when she didn't return, they had a duty of care to tell the police, to tell her family. That is the duty of care. And I've told my almost all adult children now, you tell me where you're going to be. I mean, I have no ability to say you can't be outside of this house. You can't go someplace for the night. But what I want to know is, will you be at home or not? Are you alive? Where are you? I'd like to know those 3 things, but especially the first 2. Like, you're not going to be at home, tell me that you're not going to be at home, and check in with me so I know. That's because that's part of my duty of care toward you. Because if you're not heard from in 24 hours, I'm going to report you. Be assured. So, duty of care. It's an important concept. Laundries should learn it. Okay. And we have the Murdaugh case. So, Alec Murdaugh showed up in court. Alec was shaven, clean shaven, like bald, and skinny. He does not look great. I mean, he looks younger only because he has no hair. I mean, his face isn't lined or anything, but he's skinny. It looks like the stress is showing on him. Dick Harpootlian and the state's attorney, this was the initial pleading, and I think I might have spoken a little bit on my live about this, but again, I was so hot, and it was in the middle of the night, and I don't know if I was cogent and explained this, but anyways, Alec pleaded not guilty. Again, no big surprise, to the murders. And I don't know if everybody in South Carolina said this or if it was him personally, but he pled not guilty and by God and my country, which was kind of interesting. Lori Hellis on the Hidden True Crime also brought this up. So at this point, everybody's worked up about a gag order. So this kind of has something in common with the Vallow Daybell case. Hold on. Okay. It's not a true, complete gag order. It's not like what I consider a complete gag order is that, like, media will not be in the court. Everything will be sealed. No talking to the press. This is just a no talking to the press. Nothing extrajudicial is to get out. Now, we know that we all had a big heads up that SLED was going to arrest Alec Murdaugh for the murders. And that was reported by the press. And even Fitz News has said, like, they have a vested interest in keeping their sources and getting that information, so they're upset by this. And I understand that, but if we are going to get convictions that are the best convictions that are representative of the facts, and that we can all believe in, then we need less bias. And in America, in some cases, there is way too much attention for there to be slips of the tongue by either side, especially from the prosecution to the press, but by either side. We need everybody to shut the hell up, right? Speak in court. But the Judge Newman, did emphasize, look, I want this to be as transparent as possible, regardless of the international interest in this case, which I appreciated. And he said, so I'm not gonna, we're not sealing everything. We're not keeping the media out of the court. Good. I like it. And we know enough about this case now. I don't think we need to hear from either side. And I know, though, that real media, investigative media sources, that is a hindrance to them. And and everybody loves Mandy Matney, who works with Fitz News. She's also has a podcast, The Murdaugh Murders. If you haven't watched it or listened to it, not only listen to it, but re-listen to it, because there is so much going on. I'm going to have to create my own little crazy wall. And I'm going to use Mandy Matney's podcast to do it, because she is one of the only people who really does consider every source. And by the way, if you're a person making fun of her tone of voice, one of my daughters speaks exactly like that, with a sort of a gravelly voice, a little vocal fry. I love it. I also love that she's been in South Cac enough that she's got like that little lilt to her voice. Could we please not be cruel to people's tone of voice? I mean, I'm sure my subscribers I am sure if you're listening to me and you're truly subscribed and listening each week, that you've got to be a somewhat nice kind of person. And I doubt that you're that person making fun of Mandy Matney's voice. Hello, dyslexic detective again. But just if you're thinking of, like, just don't. She's doing all of us a huge favor by documenting this, and she's been documenting it from the beginning. She actually was investigating the Murdaughs before. So it is a gold mine, I must tell you. Okay, so Alec Murdaugh pled not guilty. We're not surprised. We won't hear any more from Dick Carpullian, which, come on, let's say we're not really sad about that. He's just going to tell us how Alex isn't guilty. And we're not going to hear from the prosecutors, or nobody else should be talking. And that was kind of, Dick Carpullian made a little jab. It's interesting to see how the Southern gentlemen work together when they were making little jabs. It really is a little bit different than other court systems, and a bit appreciated by this Yankee. What will happen next is the two sides, it's nice to see people be civil to one another on either side. They agreed that the prosecution, the state, and the defense will show each other what they're going to file with the court, like 48 business hours ahead of time. And so they don't, and then maybe seal it if they need to still, and show the judge, and then he'll unseal it and just when everything's checked out. And that is fair, to keep the jury pool as much as possible. Although I think this might also, I don't know how, Carleton County, I mean, it's not huge. I think everything's going to end up in Columbia, the murders especially, because that gives you a huge, more diverse pool of people, and a more likelihood that people aren't so, I don't know, man, the Murdaughs, they're everywhere. So it's going to be hard. But right now it's in Carleton County. And Scott Reich on Crime Talk always hates that the Daybell case, like, why are they always sealing everything? Why are they sealing everything? And I think that Judge Boyce has, or is it Patrick Murphy? Boy, I'm getting confused between the Colorado and the Utah case. But the judge in the Daybell case, I think he decided long ago, similar to what's happening with the Murdaugh case, when you have this huge publicity, that we're just going to seal everything, and then we'll unseal it once, like, we get things judged and talked about. But that the publicity is so huge that you're ruining the jury pool, even in a city like Boise, which is where the Daybell case will take place. So while we want to hear everything, we also want a fair jury, and we want a good conviction. I think Lori Hellis would agree with me on that, as would any good attorney, right? You don't want to screw up the case before you get to a jury by having having appeals made on all kinds of bias. So, in Canada, they're not even allowed to talk about anything about a crime once it's like when somebody's arrested, that you don't hear anything until it's all over. They're not allowed to talk about it. And I don't know if that's maybe not, I mean, it would wreck my channel, and but I'm really a teacher and an educational psychologist, so maybe I should get back to that instead of this. So, but we want to know because we're nosy and it's interesting and fascinating. But again, these are real serious cases, and we want the guilty parties to be cleanly convicted and for the system to work and to do it once and not have a bunch of appeals. So our last big case review we have is the Orrin and Orson Welles case. Trezell West lawyers has, it was supposed to start against Trezell and Jacqueline today. It has been put off. They've asked to have it in October 24th. So our fall/winter is going to be very busy, because now Murdoch's case is going to be going to trial between October and January. We have the Daybell case going January 9th. And now we're going to have the Orson and, Trezell and Jacqueline are going on trial for Orson and Orrin West's demise. October 24th, it looks like. So we're going to have a busy fall and winter. A lot of these main cases are coming up. It should be very interesting. All right. And that's it for my big court update. I have just some final thoughts next. All right, true crime fans. Hi, it's me, Patti Lee. Here for our last case of week 23, our celebrity case. And although I've been drinking coolers, I have to have my fabulous, that's right, because it's kind of cool too, my Martini Rossi Asti Spumante. Why? Because I'm a baby and I love the sweet bubbly. So for our celebrity cases, we have two we are going to discuss. All right, the first one. So I'm not sure I'm going to say her name right because she's English, and it's Ghislaine Maxwell, G-Max as we call her, that guy Jeff's consort in every aspect of the word. She was sentenced to 20 years, as we discussed before. So what's new? Well, this year, where she will be spending the 20 years was announced. Oh, Ghislaine. Oh, G-Max. Where is she going? Florida. Florida, from New York. Florida. She's going to be going to a minimum security prison in Tallahassee. So what do I think is happening? If we look at the whole scheme of things, I would guess, and this is just my speculation, just my opinion, so Florida was very friendly to that guy named Jeff. In fact, the Florida Attorney General, Acosta, at the time, somehow got it all the way up through the DOJ that although that guy Jeff had messed around with children, multiple, like over 10s, that he would just go down for some slight indiscretions that that seemed to be like prostitution, which can't be prostitution with its underage girls, but whatever. So Florida isn't really where I think anybody related to the whole GMAX, Epstein saga, where the perpetrators are treated unequally and the actual victims don't get a fair shake. And hey, we're right back in Florida. So GMAX also, if you remember, did not give up any names of the very prestigious Black Book people that we all know included past presidents and many CEOs and people like, I don't know, Bill Gates and others, but we don't know exactly what happened, and she didn't give that up. So she protected them, and now she's in a minimum security prison in the best state possible that's the most friendly to that guy Jeff and her. So, what do we think will happen? There are two distinct possibilities. One, she goes the way of Jean-Luc and Jeffrey, and, she's unalived. But, no, I think Ghislaine played the game, and I think she'll just disappear. And everybody, I would guess it would happen around midterms or the next, when there's some big other crazy breaking news, somehow she'll be transported away and we'll never know what really happened. That's my guess. You want to put some money on it? She's going to be gone. She'll be the real gone girl. GMAX will be the real gone girl. As in, gone, never see her again. Back to wherever. Some Eastern Bloc country or wherever, Mogilevich can protect her. She's already gone. That's what I think, because she never gave up the names. New York sending her to a minimum security? No. What she did wasn't a white-collar crime. She did horrific things to children. No. We have a problem with her being in minimum security. She's gone, girl. So that's all I have to say about her. Just mark my words, and when it happens, you have heard it first here on the True Crime Grapevine. Oh my God. And the other case will make you drink. We need to pour out the rest of this. Why? Johnny Depp, Amber Heard will never let you go. Did you see a psychic before you married her? Because I'm thinking you should have. This is like a split of champagne, and split he did, but not fast enough. Johnny, JD, we drink to you, but that biatch is never gonna let you go. This is your life now. Just constant trying to get back. Now, interestingly, will she be able to make the appeal bond? The appeal bond is like basically escrow. The bank has to guarantee that she has that amount of money that is the award to Depp, which would be $8.5 million or whatever, plus 6% interest that has to be guaranteed by a bank. Now, Amber Heard has some similar connections, people in similar circles to GMAX. Did you know? Yes. They all connect through the ultra wealthy and intelligence world people, CIA-esque types, national security adjacent. So if you did not know, Amber Heard dated Elon Musk. Elon Musk started PayPal with Peter Thiel, and Peter Thiel is involved in all kinds of interesting governmental programs, interests. Now, Amber's got interesting friends in interesting places, and like GMAX, that might work out for her benefit in guaranteeing this money. Because what does Amber know or have on Elon Musk? Besides, allegedly, her baby. And does she know anything more? I mean, all these people tend to deal in secrets and shadiness, I guess you would say. And the ultra rich seem to have ultra dark issues. So, what does Amber know about Elon's dealings? What would she be willing to talk about? Is it worth anything? And then she's got the ACLU guy that was housing her and her sister in the Hamptons and taking her to TJ Maxx for her shopping. Whatever, Amber. I mean, but she bought a big, huge house in the desert. It's all very confusing. So, how is Amber getting the money for her appeal? They have it's been some coolers and now champagne. Not technically champagne because I don't think it's from the region. It's Asti Spumante, but still bubbly. 3 months. They have their notice appeal. The notice of appeal costs $500. Now, Depp was very succinct. His team, basically, they're looking to knock down the Adam Waldman statement, which, quite frankly, I don't know how they can attribute malice to Adam Waldman's statement. Okay, I was rudely interrupted by my camera's battery dying, but I just wanted to finish what we were talking about, which was a celebrity case. So we have our Asti Spumante, a little celebratory drink. It's got a few bubbles left in it. See? Not bad. Okay, so earlier I covered the GMAX sitch and made a prediction. Now I'm going to talk about the Depp heard. Like I said, both have made notice of appeals. So, when I was so rudely interrupted by my battery dying, I was talking about the fact that they have to have, it's basically like an escrow account. You have to put whatever the damages that were in the final judgment, even though you're appealing the final judgment, that those damages have to be held or guaranteed by a bank. So basically it's like the bank says your credit's good enough, which usually means they have collateral, which usually means it's held in escrow or something similar to that. And I was making a hypothesis about Amber Heard's relationships with powerful people and what that might mean for if she can't get this money together. So, if you remember, Lori Vallow was all about, when she first got in jail, she said to the person that she was in jail with, like, well, we'll see what this is worth. Well, we're going to see what Amber Heard's, whatever she's got going, or whoever she's got stuff on, is worth. Will Elon Musk, the baby daddy, allegedly, will he pay to play or pay for her to play because of whatever reason? We don't know. Will it be the ACLU guy? We don't know. Who's got $8.5 million plus 6% to lay down on the line so Amber can continue this fight? This grudge match. We don't know. Johnny has to put down $2.5 million. We assume he's beginning all kinds of, after hearing Cray Cray talk in the trial, and obviously his reputation has been restored. So it seems as if he will have no problem. So in 3 months, that's how much time this was just the notice of appeal, $500. The real money talks when it's right before they have 3 months to do this. So it's the end of July, August, September, October, like September, October. we will find out. I think it goes from the time of the final decision, maybe. So maybe it will be more from the end of June to July, August, September. Maybe it'll be right in September. I think it's in September when this will happen. So we will come back and see. Here's to Johnny Depp continuing to win. It'll be very interesting. Oh, I'm sorry. And the last possibility is that her insurance pays. Although so apparently Travelers Insurance was her insurance that she took out after she wrote the op-ed, maybe thinking she was going to get sued. I don't know. Apparently that's who paid for Elaine and Rottenborn. Now, the question is though, now that she has a judgment against her for defamation is not free speech. Defamation might not be covered under insurance. So some people have said, well, maybe her insurance will continue to fight this fight. After that ruling, I would think maybe not. And I don't know if they pay the money and then the appeal is taken up and considered, or if the appeal is considered and if it's worthy, they pay. I think it's probably the former. So we're going to see who's going to put their money where the mouth is. All right, so that was the end. Bye. I'll see you next week.